This is why you need to understand the high-stakes proxy war between Iran and Israel, because right now, a secret chess game is unfolding in the Horn of Africa, and the next move could change the fate of nations. For years, Iran and Israel waged a shadow war, cyber attacks, assassinations, sabotage, carefully avoiding direct conflict. Their rivalry simmered beneath the surface, shaping regional politics and fueling proxy battles, but always with a sense of restraint. Each side tested the other's limits, but neither dared to cross the line into open warfare, knowing the consequences could be catastrophic. But in March 2026, everything changed. Operation Epic Fury shattered the status quo, catching the world off guard and sending shockwaves through capitals from Washington to Tehran. The operation marked a turning point, as the old rules of engagement were tossed aside in a single night. Israeli and American strikes hit Iranian targets across the Middle East with unprecedented force and coordination. The skies lit up with missile trails and explosions as military compounds and strategic sites were reduced to rubble. The era of deniability ended overnight. Missiles replaced whispers, and the world watched as covert operations gave way to open confrontation. The balance of power was suddenly upended. The shockwaves reached the Horn of Africa, transforming it from a peripheral concern into a critical front. What was once a distant theater now became a focal point for global attention and military strategy. The Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, already tense from Houthi attacks, became part of a much larger, more dangerous chessboard. International shipping lanes grew perilous, and every vessel risked being drawn into the conflict. Local disputes, Ethiopia's quest for sea access, Somalia's territorial struggles, suddenly took on new urgency as regional actors scrambled to secure their interests amid the chaos. Sudan's civil war, already a humanitarian disaster, was instantly internationalized, drawing in new players and complicating peace efforts. Iran and Israel activated their networks, pulling African partners into a conflict they didn't start but couldn't escape. Covert alliances and proxy forces began to shape the region's fate. The Horn's strategic geography, commanding the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a choke point for global trade, made its involvement inevitable. Whoever controlled these waters could tip the balance of power far beyond Africa. For both sides, controlling the Horn's coastlines became a military necessity, as naval buildups and patrols intensified along the shores. The region now stood on the precipice of a war that would reshape its destiny, with every nation forced to choose a side, or risk being swept away by the coming storm. In December 2025, Israel became the first UN member to recognize Somaliland's independence, a diplomatic earthquake that sent shockwaves through the region and beyond. The announcement dominated global headlines, with analysts scrambling to assess the implications for the Horn of Africa and the wider Middle East. Somaliland, stable and self-governing for decades despite lacking international recognition, suddenly gained a powerful ally and a shot at long-sought legitimacy. For its citizens, the move brought hope for economic growth, foreign investment, and a new era of engagement with the world. In return, Israel secured a strategic partner on the Red Sea's southern coast, directly opposite Houthi-controlled Yemen. This location offered Israel a critical vantage point over one of the world's busiest and most contested maritime choke points. The move, facilitated by the UAE's behind-the-scenes diplomacy, gave Israel not only a surveillance and intelligence platform, but also the potential for a forward operating base, expanding its reach in a volatile region. Somalia protested furiously, calling the recognition a violation of its sovereignty and deepening rifts with Ethiopia, which also eyed Somaliland's coast for its own strategic ambitions. For Israel, the benefits outweighed the fallout: a foothold in a vital location as war erupted in the region and a chance to reshape the security dynamics of the Red Sea. Reports soon surfaced of Israeli security and intelligence teams arriving in Somaliland, setting up operations and coordinating closely with local authorities. The alliance transformed the region's political and military landscape overnight, forcing neighboring countries to reconsider their own alliances and strategies. Somaliland's shores became the southern anchor of Israel's defense strategy, with new radar and surveillance systems monitoring Red Sea shipping lanes and regional threats. What began as a bold diplomatic gesture quickly evolved into a tangible military partnership, with joint exercises and equipment transfers underway within weeks. The Horn's balance of power had shifted dramatically, and the world was watching, uncertain what new alliances and rivalries might emerge next. Ethiopia, landlocked and ambitious, has long dreamed of reclaiming access to the sea, a vision that has shaped its foreign policy for decades. In March 2026, that dream took a dramatic step forward when Ethiopia finally secured a 50-year lease on Somaliland's Berbera Port, a vital gateway on the Gulf of Aden. This port of destiny promised not just economic independence for Ethiopia, but also the chance to become a regional power broker, controlling vital trade routes and shaping the Horn of Africa's future. But the deal was more than commerce. It cemented a new security alliance, drawing in powerful regional players and shifting the balance of power. Flags of Israel, UAE, Ethiopia, Somaliland together. Handshake between government officials in Horn of Africa, stocks distribute den equally, united by shared interests, formed a coalition to counter Iran's growing influence in the region. The UAE had already modernized Berbera, transforming it into a state-of-the-art port. Now, it became a strategic military node, watched closely by rivals and allies alike. The Houthis in Yemen, backed by Iran, declared Israeli assets in Somaliland legitimate targets, turning Berbera into a frontline in a wider regional conflict. Military advisors and advanced hardware arrived quietly, fortifying the port against drone and missile attacks, while local forces trained for a new kind of warfare. Ethiopia's economic lifeline, its only direct route to the sea, was now a potential flashpoint in a global conflict, with every convoy moving under armed guard. Every shipment through Berbera moved under the shadow of war, as the Red Sea's instability threatened to choke off vital trade and investment. Ethiopia's ambitions and risks were now inseparable, with prosperity and peril walking hand in hand at Berbera's docks. The world's eyes turned to Berbera, a symbol of both hope and danger, as Ethiopia's gateway to the sea became a front line in a new era of global rivalry. Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam, its pride and vulnerability, became a fortress with Israeli help. Advanced Israeli technology now shields the dam from drone and missile attacks, creating a multi-layered defense bubble. This upgrade changed the regional calculus. Egypt's threats of military action suddenly looked far less credible. The fortified dam gave Ethiopia leverage in Nile negotiations and solidified its control over the river's flow. Beyond the dam, Israel supplied Ethiopia with AI-driven surveillance and border monitoring systems. Operation Roaring Lion extended this tech shield across Ethiopia's borders, enhancing both external defense and internal control. Ethiopia emerged as Israel's key partner in East Africa, equipped to resist Iranian-backed threats. The GERD's security became a symbol of Ethiopia's new power and its deepening entanglement in the regional conflict. The technological alliance redefined Ethiopia's role in the Horn, but with new strength came new risks. The stakes had never been higher. Iran responded to the new alliance with its signature playbook proxy warfare. The Houthis, Iran's most capable proxy, threatened Israeli-linked assets in Somaliland, especially Berbera. Intelligence revealed growing cooperation between the Houthis and Somalia's al-Shabaab, including weapons transfers and joint training. Iran's goal, bleed the alliance through asymmetric attacks, disrupt shipping, and bog Ethiopia down in endless conflict. By empowering local militants, Tehran projected power at low cost and high deniability. The cost of Ethiopia's new alliances was rising fast. Iran aimed to make the price of partnership with Israel dangerously high. Iran exploited chaos in Sudan and Somalia to pressure Ethiopia. In Sudan, Tehran backed the armed forces with drones and military aid, seeking a naval base on the Red Sea, a strategic coup. Such a base would let Iran threaten shipping lanes and flank the Ethiopia-Somaliland axis. In Somalia, Iran fueled anger over the Berbera deal, supporting factions eager to punish Ethiopia. By stoking nationalism and instability, Iran aimed to bog Ethiopia down on multiple fronts. The result? A gray zone of conflict encircling Ethiopia, threatening its grand ambitions. Peace in the Horn grew ever more elusive. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's bold moves brought Ethiopia sea access and powerful allies, but also new enemies. At a tense summit in Djibouti, Abiy tried to reassure Somalia and Djibouti that Ethiopia's ambitions weren't a threat, but military reality spoke louder than diplomatic words. Somalia remained deeply suspicious, seeing Ethiopia's actions as expansionist. Abiy's challenge convinced the region his alliances are defensive, not aggressive. Ethiopia's new strength could deter aggression or provoke it. By tying Ethiopia's fate to the Iran-Israel conflict, Abiy gambled with his nation's future. Success could mean regional leadership, failure, entanglement in endless war. The stakes had never been higher for Ethiopia's leader. March 2026 transformed the Horn of Africa into a global battleground. Ethiopia's bold play, sea access, Israeli tech, new alliances, could make it a regional superpower. The case for Ethiopia's rise is strong strategic location, military edge, economic promise. But the risks are profound. Iran's proxies threaten to drag Ethiopia into draining conflicts. The dream of power could become a nightmare of endless war. The region's future hangs in the balance: new alliances, new front lines, and new dangers. Will Ethiopia's gamble pay off, or will the Horn be consumed by the fires of proxy war? The choices made now will define the region for generations.